And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here.
Hey, Zee Garcia, what's happening?
Today we're looking at one of the biggest expansions
ever.
Okay, it doesn't look that big, but I mean there's a lot in there. This is Tuscany. This is the expansion for Viticulture. Now, a couple things, there's a lot going on in this, but I want to talk about the overarching thing about Tuscany. Tuscany is essentially billed as a legacy expansion. In the case of like Risk Legacy, where you add modules as the game goes by and different things.
So what you're telling me is lots of bags you can open, lots of stickers. You change the game from game to game, and when you're done, the game is a whole different version than anyone else's. Is that right?
Well, no. Okay. Before we go any farther in this review, just to clarify the next couple statements, I love this expansion. It's one of the best expansions I've ever played. But the legacy thing is kind of bunk. This game has 15 modules in it, and one of those modules is solitaire. So we'll take that one out. 14 modules in it, and each of those modules should be added in a specific order. Some of them can be, some of them don't. Some of them it makes sense to add earlier. So what they do is they say play the game normally, then the winner can pick from a tier 1, and then the winner of that game can pick from tier 2. But that's just made up, really. I mean, essentially, you can pick whatever modules you want. And the rules are like, well, be careful because it might overwhelm people. Just yesterday, I played the game, or 2 days ago, I played the game with 2 people who were gamers. And I introduced 7 of the modules at one time. And they easily understood them. So, well, maybe for new players, but I don't know that I would want to play just adding one at a time, you know? I mean, you could do it that way, but don't be scared off by that whole legacy thing. You honestly can go through and go, ooh, that module looks fun, I'll add that. Ooh, I don't think that one looks fun, I won't add that. That's perfectly legitimate. So, anyway, first thing, we're going to take a look at this a piece at a time.
Okay.
First thing we'll do is look at the components. The box comes with this insert which shows you where to put all the different things for it. So, you know, you might have some cards and they slide into a certain spot here in the game, and so you can pull those out when you need them. You know, all the coins go in this thing. This is interesting, but I mean, you can take it out completely and store the expansion here if you don't worry, you know, if you don't want them in different tiers. You can also store, I believe, almost, it fits, everything fits into one box if you really want to cram it together. So take a look at the metal coins. Here they are. They're very heavy, chunky metal coins, and you can see they got 1s, 2s, and 5s. Now, it might be that some people buy this game for the coins alone, right?
Yeah!
These are like A+ coins. I think
that's all I want.
I think you were saying something about the fact that they were almost too good.
Yeah, they're just amazing. I mean, in the game, when I play with these, I suddenly break the game for myself because I'll hoard these. I'm like, no, I'm not building structures. They cost money. Look at this money.
Everything else, I mean, there's a lot. The box itself, I understand why they have all those different slots to put things, but that's just a waste of space for me. And I got tired of putting my fingers in and pulling out the cards.
Yeah, and it's
I'd rather have it all in one box anyway.
Again, it loops back into that whole tier 1. It's these tier 2, and it's fine and it's organized when you get it. But the actual dividers are a little flimsy and they're not great. And so the insert, whatever, coins, and the rest of the components I think are fine.
Yeah, the components are great. There was a couple misprintings on a few things, which we caught actually in our first as we were going through the games, and then. I looked online, and Stonemaier does make stickers to fix that. And there's a lot of components, though, so a few minor mistakes is okay, but just to let you know they're there. Okay, let's take a look at some of the modules. The first module we're going to look at is the Mamas and the Papas here, where each person is going to draw randomly 1 Mama and 1 Papa. Now what this does is it basically gives you what you get when you start. So for example, you'll see you get the Grande worker, 2 regular workers. You start here with 2 purple cards and a blue card, and you start with $3, and then you have a choice here. You can start with $3 or you can start with the cottage. Since a cottage normally costs 4, that's a discount of 1. So it's up to you whether you want that or you want to start with the different money. And so each one has different. So for example, she starts with 2 green cards and a purple card. This guy starts with $5 and you can buy the yoke or get an extra $2. She starts with just a green and a blue card but an extra $2. He starts with $6. You can get the yoke or $1. This guy, 2 yellow cards and a blue. Or, I'm sorry, this lady, 2 yellow cards or a blue. Here you can get the $3, or you can buy the water tower. So really, this is just simply things you start with a small choice. In properties, players will start with 3 property boards here on the board, on their player board, and this space goes on the board here where you sell at least a grape or flip a property. When you go to that space, you're able to take one of your properties and flip it over, selling it for that much. Now, there is a misprint here. These two have the wrong thing on the reverse, although Stonemaier Games has stickers that you can have to fix that problem. But what you can do here is essentially you can sell these to get money, but when you sell them, you can no longer put anything in that field. Each field also has different vine values. They used to be all 6. Now it's 5, 6, and 7. So you can sell the one that can have up to 7 grapes in it to get $7. And you can sell it later on or buy it back later on when you have more money. All right, what do you think of these two?
Okay, the Mamas and the Papas is one of my favorite modules because it's so easy to mix in and it reduces that setup time in a beautiful and easy and clean way. Grab one, grab the other, look at them, get this or get that, and it gives you a little choice to make at the beginning of the game, but it's very simple, and I love that. My favorite thing about it has to be that it'll sometimes encourage you to start with things you wouldn't normally buy in the game.
Right.
You know, sometimes you'll flip one over and it gives you one of the buildings here. It'll give you the tasting room, for example. And you go, I haven't been buying that when I play, but hey, I'll start with it. Let's see where this takes me. And so you can play a different game right from the beginning, and it's really fun and interesting because you're having a brand new experience right away. You're not building up to one. They're a brilliant little addition.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're asymmetrical, right? Yeah. Everyone starts with different things, so that's neat, and it's just easy. Flip 2 cards, boom. So that, to me, this is always in my games.
Yeah.
Okay, always there. The property, I was initially lukewarm on the property cards, but as they went by, I'm really enjoying them now because A, they can give you a big influx of cash at the beginning of the game, which you might regret later, especially when we talk about structures later on, because they can be added to the different properties.
Right.
But you don't have to, and which gives you more space to put things out. It's minor, but I like it, and I'll probably include it in most of my games.
I would include it in the game if, and we're not quite there yet, if I was playing with the structures, then they're in, because it matters. Because you can build structures there instead of planting vines. Be aware there is a misprint on those, which is they should have the same number on both sides, and they don't. So
it's an easy thing to actually, even without the sticker, we understood it.
We did, and it's not a big deal. We'll be aware of that. But yeah, this is not one I necessarily would throw in unless I'm playing with the structures, but we'll get there.
All right. The next module, the patronage cards, you put one of them here underneath your board like this. You get one randomly at the beginning of the game, and whenever you sell a wine that's 5 or greater, then you activate him, and he's worth 3 points at the end of the game. You also have a secret thing that if at the end of the game you have the fewest workers, you'll get an extra 2 points, or it depends what he has, or at least 5 total planet vine cards, or the most vine cards on all fields, or at least 6 structures, fewest structures, etc. These are ways to get extra points. Then we have Advanced Visitors. This is Advanced Benefactor, Advanced Landscaper. You can add these into your 2 decks of visitor cards for summer and winter. They can replace the ones that they take. For example, in the original game, you have the Surveyor here, who he gives you a point for each field you own. It has a Planet Vineyard card on it. Here, now you get $2 for each empty field you own, or you gain a point for each planet field you own. So essentially, the advanced ones are very similar to the original ones, except they can be used all throughout the game. To see the Surveyor here, he's great at the beginning of the game when you have empty fields. He's also great at the end of the game when you have full fields, while the original guy is really only useful at the end of the game. Here's another example, a contractor, an advanced contractor. Here you choose 2, get a coin, build a structure at its regular price, and plant thing. Here you get a point, build a structure, or plant one. It's a slightly different but more useful. The buyer here was originally sell at least 1 grape at twice the regular price and gain a point. Here you can pay 2 points to put a grape on your crush pad, or you can discard a grape to gain $2 and a point. So again, all the advanced ones give you an option. They're not the only ones. The next module just has more visitors of each type. So they're just more visitors you can shuffle in that do all sorts of things. For example, here the bottler can make 3 bottles of wine, gain 1 for each type of wine. Here the sponsor, you get 2, you draw 2 green cards, or you gain 3 coins, or you can lose a point to do both. And sometimes they add different rules. Sometimes they do things to everyone else, like the motivator lets everybody get their grande worker back. It's up to them whether they want them back or not. And then you get a point for each opponent who does that. And there's all sorts of different things in here what are going to add. And it will also make your visitor pile bigger with more things in it. The patronage thing is one of the modules that I don't really care about that much.
Yeah.
I like the concept, right? Okay, there's a way to get rid of a wine token to get 3 points. Great. But that's already, that's coming soon in the extended board. You can do that there. The whole secret goal, and if you do it at the end of the game, that's okay. And it gives you kind of a focus on what to do maybe, but it's 2 points. There are a lot of summer and winter visitor cards that give you 2 points. Mm-hmm. This is something I think that adds like almost an extra thing that's just not needed for me.
For me, I feel that there's a few of the little modules that tell you do this on your turn and do better. But typically, A, it's not worthwhile pursuing 2 points, and B, it makes you go for something. And I think this game is so open-ended that that's one of the beauties of it. And so I'm not a big fan of the cards that say, build this many structures and you get 2 points. It's like, well, I wasn't going for structures this game. I'm trying to churn out wine, or I'm trying to really work the visitors, or whatever. So I'm not necessarily a big fan of, I'm normally a huge fan of hidden scoring goals. This game and that mechanism I don't think go hand in hand too well, because the game is so open-ended.
With visitors, I like them both a lot. The new visitors, great. All kinds of cool things. I especially like the ones that give your opponents a choice. Hey, you can take your grande worker back, but you give me a point when you do that. Mm-hmm. But I especially like the advanced visitors because I like options on cards, and the advanced visitors, almost all of them have something that's good at the beginning of the game or something that's good at the end of the game, and that's nice because that means they're always worth grabbing. At the end of the game, you're still going, ooh, maybe I'll draw another visitor card. It might be worth it.
Mm-hmm. I like those as well. I am actually a bigger fan of just the new ones, and I would just mix those into the original ones, because I think it's a little strange having some advanced and some that don't say that.
Well, but the new ones are kind of like the advanced ones anyway.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. But that's just my own preference, but honestly, they're great. I mean, the cards are, the yellow and blue cards are both great, and more of that.
Oh, yeah. So you play this game, you're like, ooh, give me more of those.
Yeah.
If you could play 2 of them, you could really pull off some cool things sometimes. Then there's the extended board, which has a very different look to it. You'll notice that it goes up to 25 points rather than 20 to win the game, and then you can go as high as 40 points at the end of the game. The biggest change with this extended board is the fact that there are 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, rather than 2 seasons. And at the beginning of each round, players are going to be placing their rooster on one of these starting spots, but instead of getting the bonus immediately, each time you pass during one of the seasons, you'll move and get a bonus. So you can see, for example, that passing your line of bonuses is different. For example, if you pass here in season, and if you're number 5, the first time you pass, you get a summer visitor or a winter visitor. The next time you pass, you get a winter visitor, and the third time you pass, you get a star, which I'll talk about in a second. Down here in the 7th row, you get an extra worker. You get to draw any card of your choice, and then you get the grape token. That's because in this board, the only way to go in the top slot is to have gone in the 7th slot before. And when you go in the 7th slot, you must go to the top slot. So whenever you pass into winter phase, you'll immediately pick your spot for next year. And you'll do everything else, retrieve your workers, age everything, discard down to 7 cards, collect residual payments, and then choose your new wake-up position. And whoever goes in the 7th spot must go to the first one, but anytime anyone else passes, they can pick which one of these they go to. Now the stars, and there's a spot down here where you can place or move a star, each player starts the game with 6 stars, and they're going to be putting those stars on this map here. When you have a chance to put a star on the map, or you can, when you do a star, you can put a new one out, or you can move one to a new spot. When you put it out, you get the bonus of that spot. So for example, if I put it here, I get a blue card. If I put it here, I get a coin. Here are 2 coins, yellow card, green card, purple card. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most in a spot, ties don't count, will get the points for controlling that spot. There's also other new spaces on the board. You can see each one here. In the spring, you draw green cards, give tours, build structures, or place or move the stars. In the summer, you can play the summer visitors, you can plant, or we have this new trading spot. You can trade anything there for anything else that's there. So I can trade 2 cards for 3 points. For 3 coins. I can trade a grape for a point. I can trade a point for 2 cards. I can trade 2 cards of one type for 2 cards of another type. And then down here is to flip the property, which is we already talked about that, it's just printed right on the board. When we go to the fall and the winter spot, you'll see that you can draw purple cards, harvest a field, make up the 2 wine tokens, build a structure, or give a tour. So this is kind of the 2 earlier spots combined. And then over here in the winter, you can play your winter visitors, train workers, sell wine tokens, or fill the purple cards. The sell wine tokens is new, where you can just sell 1 token of any type for points. It's going to be less than you would get through the wine order cards, and you get no residual payments out of it, but it is another way to get points. And then over here's a spot people can go to anytime to get a coin. This may be my favorite of the modules.
It's hard to even call it a module, right? Because it's like, once the new board is in play, it's like, woo, doors blown wide open. That's it. Just take the old board and make coasters, boys, because this new board is amazing.
Yeah, really, there's like 4 major things, okay? We have the 4 seasons, which is interesting because now there's boom, 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 and you got to figure out, okay, I could do that in the summer, and that's in the winter, and it takes that whole 2-season thing and just makes it even more exciting, I think.
Right.
Then there's the bonuses, which are crazy fun, because you're getting 3 bonuses in some of those spots. And you're like, ooh, I want that spot, but then I'll go 5th. I don't know.
You get a little bit at a time, too. I love that. It's like, okay, I'm going to pass, and I get a little something. The game's always giving you a little something, and it's constantly rewarding you. And that keeps you engaged.
Then there's the little map with the influence tokens. That's not like super exciting and everything, but there's a couple things. First of all, you can get some bonuses by going there.
Yeah.
If it was just the area majority thing, I would be like, whatever. That's just a tacked on thing. It is tacked on. But first of all, those bonuses can matter at the end of the game, but also when you go there, you're getting like a blue card or a yellow card or whatever you want.
Right, yeah. They let you not get shut out of stuff. You can always... Sometimes you'll look at the board, or it happens to me anyway, because I wasn't really focusing on it when I played. But I'd be looking at what's going on now and go, oh, I can't get what I want. But whoa, wait a second, I can just go over here and grab a blue or a yellow card, whatever. So yeah, I like that. And then the point scoring, the majority thing, that works too. I think the whole new board is an excellent addition.
And then the new spots on the board. Really enjoy the trading one. That is probably my favorite new spot.
Powerful.
Being able to trade different things, even the trading 2 cards for 2 other cards, big deal. Yeah. And then selling a wine token at the end adds another way for people to get points. It's not as good as fulfilling a card, but especially near the end of the game when you're just trying to get points for whatever, it allows you to stay in contention.
Right.
So
yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like it even more with the addition of some of the next modules.
Ooh.
Special workers can be taken. At the beginning of the game, you will draw 2 special workers, and they give you some blank cards, so if you want to make your own. You will draw 2 special workers, so maybe I draw the messenger and the innkeeper. All players have tokens in their color that match these 2 workers, so we just find them, okay, here's the innkeeper, and here is the messenger. And that would replace 2 of my regular workers. You can still only have 6 workers total. And when you buy or train a new worker, you can pay an extra $1 to take one of these special workers who gives you a special ability. For example, the messenger can be put in a spot in a future season where when you get to that season, you get first rights to that one. The innkeeper here, you can pay someone else who has worked on the same action to take a visitor card at random from their hand when you put it there. There's the chef when the chef is played, you can basically bump someone back to their available workers to take the same spot that somebody else has. The soldier, we have the mafia guy. You can take the action twice. The politician, the professor, the traveler. There's all different sorts of special people, and they cost basically an extra coin and then give you usually a minor benefit when you place them on the board. In the Structures module, players have a new board that they will add here where they can build 2 structures. You can also build structures in the fields that you're using, unless, of course, you've sold the field. If you put a structure in a field, you can't put grapes there. And there's a new spot to destroy structures. When you build a structure, just like when you build the different things here on the board, you can instead build these cards, which can be drawn from certain actions on the board. Each of these cards will give you possibly a new spot, like this cask here. When I go to that spot there, I age my wines twice, and I draw a purple card. Here, at this wine press here, I can make up to 2 wine when I go there, but I don't have to use a spot on the board. I have my own special. Sometimes they give you a special ability. For example, here I get a coin anytime an opponent gives a vineyard tour. Here, whenever I fill a purple card, I get an extra point. Here, whenever I play a visitor card, I get an extra point. Here at the academy, the opponent must pay me a coin when they're training a worker. Here I can use the influence action, putting out the star, and take the trade 1-for-1 action. So these structures are really cool. They add things to the game and you can place them. And in case you were wondering, the entire board now, the extended board, it's double-sided, and one side has something to do with structure cards. There's structure cards in the influence area. They're what's one of the bonuses. You can get them down here, or over here, or here, and there's a spot to put them on the board. So if you want to use structures, the extended board is ready for you. First, let's talk about the structures, because that's my second favorite of the new modules.
I guess if we're counting the board as a thing, again, it's so hard to think of a whole new board as it's a module, it's another module. Then yes, I agree. This is my second favorite thing after the whole new board.
Those buildings, I want to draw them just to see what I have, because I love anything that gives me something other people don't have. I always enjoy that in games.
Yeah. And,
so a spot I can put my guys.
You're building your own space that only you can put a worker in most of the time, and that's amazing because you're making your own piece of the board for just you.
Right.
It's really fun.
Or they give you a special ability, and then, as we mentioned earlier, with the field, since you can put them there, do I want 3 buildings? And each building's also, I didn't mention this, they're worth a point at the end of the game. So it's a minor thing, but...
Right.
And there also may be something else in the box that we can't talk about that's, it was okay, but it also involved structures. The workers. Now this is where I think we differ some, because I really like the new workers. Now the new workers, they're not... None of the workers I feel are like, wow, when I put him out, he's obviously the best worker ever. They give minor benefits, and sometimes their benefit doesn't come in handy.
Right.
Like there's one that says, put it in the past on a spot that's open if that spot's still open. Well, that's cool. Like in the winter, I can take a summer action, but it has to be open also. Although, if you save that guy and your opponent has pulled all their people off the board, they open up a lot of spots. Some very interesting things there.
Yeah, you have to have considerably more people than they do at that point for them to have passed already.
With these special workers, I will say that whenever someone buys a new worker, they always buy one of the 2 new workers. It's an automatic thing, right?
That's one of the issues I have with it. Again, it's one of those things that tells you, do this. Because if you don't, you're playing in a dumb way. Obviously, you're going to buy one of the 2 new guys because they are, intrinsically better than the old people. I don't like that they force your hand. It's like, we're changing a couple of the workers you can buy, get them first. And everybody has access to them, and they add rules complications. I was not as big a fan as Tom. I thought it was one thing, well, it'll be many things in a bit, but it was one thing too many at this point that I did not need myself or my players to to have concern with. I like the workers that we had just fine. I think the new board, the structures, everything else has plenty of variety. Workers that are now different guys too, I'll pass on this one.
Yeah, but I might even take it to another step. I think the next time I play, I'm going to draw 4 of those cards, and you can pick 2 of them that only you can use, right? But I would like that. Anyhow.
Breaking
In the Mafia expansion, there are a bunch of Mafia cards included with the game. These are gifts to give to the mobster. You can give him macaroni, which is only worth 1, or you can give him a pair of new shoes, which is worth 9. You're going to shuffle these, remove 1 from the game. Everyone gets 1 secretly. Now, in this version, you must place your Grande worker on the board. You have to put him out at least some point during the turn, and you can't put him on your own private board. If you put him in the same spot as somebody else, you can switch cards with them. Also, if you place him on an action that's not shared, you can discard your card and draw a new card. At the end of the game, whoever has the higher card will get the highest card, gets 2 points. Whoever has the lowest card will lose 1 point. The last 2 modules are both used here. We have cheese, and then we have other sorts of culture things that you can buy. Both of these are basically ways that you can enhance the wine experience. Let's talk about the cheese one first. Here, everyone starts with a cow, and whenever you, one of your actions is you can get more cows later on as the game goes by. But when you can go to here and make cheese, and you get 1 cheese for each cow token, and you can pick which cheese, but cheese ages just like wine does, and when it gets to the end, it's going to be destroyed. It doesn't like just get better and better and better. It gets destroyed unless you build a special building. There's a new building that you can buy, the medium cheese cellar, which costs 4, and they provide tokens for that too that you can build. And then it will last longer, the 2 bottom kinds of cheeses. And so when you sell a wine, you have a chance to use one of your stars to add the wine to the cheese for the extra points that it shows. So if I add some mozzarella, I'll get 2 points, add it to my wine. And you can also sell cheese for points and do different things with the cheeses. On the other side of the board, after the cows, then we have the warehouse where you have a morale token. The game comes with hearts that you will use for the morale. And every time you place your Grande worker on the board, your morale goes down, although you have a chance to increase morale to make it go up 1, because when your morale hits the bottom, you're going to lose points, and when it gets to the top, you'll gain points. And then you have extra goods that you can get here, apples, and you can make spaghetti sauce and oil, add those to your wine orders, and there's different spots here on the board that here you can increase your morale, but do different things to make tomato sauce that you can then sell with your wine to get more points. Now we're at a trio of modules, these 3, which for me are 3 that I will never use because, well, the first one I don't use because it adds so little for nothing, and that's the Mafia one. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Mafia. I designed a game around it, but the Mafia doesn't need to be in this game. I mean, that whole passing a card around and have the highest card, all that, and at the end of the game, 2 points for whoever has the highest, minus 1 point for whoever has the lowest. That's just, it's something to keep, I don't know, I just,
Well, it's something you have to deal with the entire game to then at the end go, hey, look, I got 2 points.
Yeah,
No.
Then these other ones, I didn't mention that these other 2 modules I mentioned were on different sides of the board, so you can't use them both, which is probably for the best, because I can't imagine using them both at the same time.
Or either.
Yeah, and that's the deal. Both of these, adding the cheese, I was like, ooh, cheese, a new thing. And the new thing is okay, but it's another whole board to keep track of. There's only 1 space on it, so if I had to use one, I'd pick the cheese over the other side, because the other side has 4 different spaces and all that, and you get a few extra points. Yeah. Cheese, you can get more extra points, but again, it feels like it's this. There are expansions like where they like add on, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. If I played the game hundreds of times, I might say, oh, I need to use this. Right. But for now, it's too convoluted, I think, for the reward payoff for me.
Yeah, once you start throwing in, now you can make cheese. And now you sell your wine with cheese. Or, you're making sauce, or you're making oil. It's like you're starting to dilute your game at that point. It's a game about planting vines, making wine, selling that wine, ultimately. So why are we making cheese? Why are we making oil and spaghetti sauce and all this? No, it's
well, I do like cheese. I mean, I'm just saying.
I like cheese too, but if I buy a game and the game is about going to space, it's about jumping in the ship and going to space, and then the first expansion makes me build a ship, and then the second expansion I have to drive to the rocket. It's like, no, look, it's you're fragmenting what the game was about, and I think that's what both of these do. I think they take the game and dilute that tight feel that the game has, and it does have a tight feel. But then, especially with this convoluted one with the warehouse and all this, and there's so many spots, and you have to keep track of this morale stuff.
Oh, I hate that morale thing. Adding morale to this game? Come on. All right.
So, yeah, this is a pass, I think, for both of us, both of these.
Now, the one thing I did not try is I did not try the automated single player because I don't play that sort of thing. Maybe at some point Z will test that out since he plays more solo than I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's cool that they added it if you want to play the game solo, but I love the interaction this game provides. So, but that's also in there. Overall, you're getting a ton of content.
Yeah.
I looked at, of the 12 different modules, I like 7 of them. A lot. I think, and it's unlike other games, let's say Alhambra, where you add 1 or 2. Here, I will add almost all 7 of those every time. I will always play with the new board. I will almost always play, no, I won't almost. I'll always play the new buildings. I'll always play the Mamas and Papas. I'll always play with the advanced visitors and the new visitors. I'll always, you know.
Yeah.
So to me, that's pretty cool. And you're getting a ton, and so while I didn't like maybe this stuff, big deal, other people will, and there's a lot of that in the game. Mm-hmm. The coins are super high quality.
I probably wouldn't play with these, I think. I love this money!
Okay. So, honestly, with this expansion added to Viticulture, Viticulture easily hits my top 100 games of all time, and Tuscany is easily in my top 20 expansions of all time. It added that much to the game. It took a game that I really liked. I mean, I liked the game. The second edition made me really like it. This expansion made me love it. I mean, usually expansions are like, ooh, more of the same. This wasn't more of the same. This was like, hey, you know, look at your car. We fixed it and we painted it a different color and it goes faster. And it's like, what? It's really cool. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, well, the base game's garbage. I'll just never play it again. I mean, I like this one a lot.
The base game is excellent, and it's very interesting if you don't know better. It's one of those things. If this is all you've ever had to drink, ooh, it's very good. But try this, and that's it. You can't go back now. That's how this feels. It's one of those expansions that's not going to let you go back, because it's that good.
Yeah, this takes Viticulture from being a worker placement game I like to one of, if not my favorite worker placement game, period. That's how much I like it. So, love it, love it, love it, love it. Dice Tower Judgment, amazing!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut that door!